Welcome back everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Bills, and today we're dealing with the 2023 Ford F-150 Raptor R. Now this has 1085 horsepower, 931 pounds-feet of torque from its 6.2 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine. The car itself now weighs 4,809 pounds, has even higher ride height to go along with its standard all-wheel drive, as well as now off-road tyres, and it now can do 0 to 60 in 3.069 seconds, 0 to 100 in 6.044 seconds, and going to a top speed of 190 miles an hour. So obviously this isn't a massive increase over the standard car's 700 horsepower output, so yeah, we only have 385 horsepower more, but you know, it's quicker at the top end, it's quicker in terms of acceleration, it's lighter, it's got, you know, much more grip going through the corners due to the much wider off-road tyres. And as you can see by the stats, the braking is pretty good, off-road capability, launch and acceleration are great, speed is decent, and yeah, its only real letdown is the handling, but at the end of the day this is a really rather heavy and large pickup truck, so handling is never really going to be its strong suit. So the fastest Ford that we've had so far on this series has been the XB Falcon GT, which is still in the top 20 with a time of 3 minutes 13.961. So hopefully this much more capable off-road vehicle that is 50 years newer than that car can beat it and can finally have a new Ford at the top of the lead in terms of the leaderboard at the top. Now granted, I don't think it's going to actually top the leaderboard, but as long as it can be the fastest Ford, I'd be happy with that. But as we've seen plenty of times before on this series, vehicles like this, despite being more than capable of dealing with the off-road stuff, as well as all the jumps and the bumps, are not necessarily the fastest on this series. So yeah, let's see what this can do. Now granted, it's not going to be the most agile of things, not just because of its length or the weight, but also because the all-wheel drive system does mean that it's going to have some understeer, which isn't going to really help us through the corners, but it will help us get out of the corners. It will also help us deal with the power that we've got in addition to what it had originally. Now the engine is basically the same, it's just larger and got a bit more power, but what's feeding the engine is no longer a supercharger, it is those turbochargers. So they do give us nearly 100 horsepower more or thereabouts than what the supercharger fully rated could give us. And even though the supercharger is more immediate in terms of delivering the power, more power at the end of the day in a car of this size and weight is always going to be beneficial, even if it's slightly less forthcoming. So yeah. If this doesn't beat the XB Falcon GT, then it will at least be interesting to see what it can do in comparison to other off-road vehicles like this. Like I said, typically they don't do very well in comparison to more ordinary on-road vehicles, but still always interesting to see what they can do in comparison to one another. Brakes on this are definitely going to come into play as being very useful. It's not often that a vehicle of this weight has so much good brakes. And the extra bulk does help us deal with any road furniture. As you can see, not particularly fast down there. Usually we do get up to about 140, whereas we're only getting up to about 134 there. And I know 6 miles an hour doesn't seem a lot, but it all makes a difference at the bottom of this course. This is actually feeling a little bit more agile than I expected it to be. It's not particularly agile through slow parts, but through quicker corners and, you know, aspects like this, it's actually fairly nippy. Not beating the XB Falcon. We have put in still a respectable time of 3 minutes 20.275. So yeah, that's nearly 7 seconds off the XB Falcon, which just shows how monumentally quick that car actually was. 3 minutes 20.275 though puts us ever so slightly behind a Toyota Sports 800 of all things, but does mean that we're slightly ahead of a Chevrolet Silverado LT Trail Boss, which is definitely a similar vehicle to this, as well as a Rivian R1T, a Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, a Rivian R1S, Jeep Gladiator Rubicon, a Celine Sport Truck. So yeah, we're quicker than a car that is based on the previous generation of the F-Series, as well as the GMC Cyclone and Typhoon, the Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6, a Toyota Hilux AT38, and a Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. So yeah, definitely one of the quicker cars in this kind of class of vehicle. Let's see what's actually slightly ahead of us that is similar to this in terms of off-road vehicles or pickup trucks and the like. Well, I guess you could say the Cupra Tavascan concept is a kind of an off-road vehicle in terms of being a crossover SUV. And then I'm not seeing much else. Yeah, this is definitely one of the faster off-road vehicles. The Extreme E is quicker than this, but you know, that's a racing car at the end of the day, and it's quite formidable with its all-electric output. Yeah, I'd say on the whole this is probably one of the fastest, you know, off-road orientated, you know, modern cars that we've got. The only one I can see that is actually quicker than this and is similar to this is the GMC Hummer EV pickup. So yeah, that is pretty formidable, and you have to realise that that GMC at the end of the day has the immediate power of all of that power due to being electric, whereas this is obviously a little bit slower on the upkeep. It had a bit of understeer in the slower corners, and despite that it was actually really rather quite agile the faster we went. And yeah, the only real letdown was the fact that at some certain points it just wasn't able to get up to a higher rate enough speed before we inevitably needed to brake and for a corner that was coming up. So yeah, but overall a fairly solid vehicle, and far better than I was expecting it to be, considering what other vehicles that are like this have done. So overall a fun vehicle to drive, and yeah, fairly competitive on this series. So nonetheless though, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.